Hey vinyl community, it's Mitch. Just wanted to do a quick beginning of 2018 update. As you guys are well aware, we just got out of the holiday season, and of course there's Christmas, and then the day after Christmas is my birthday. So I have quite a bit of new records that I got over the last month or 6 weeks or so. Most of these were gifts. I was very fortunate this Christmas season. In fact, I had talked with a couple people on Facebook, mostly Billy Hurst, in regards to not wanting to show my quote unquote holiday haul on video just because it felt like I didn't want to come across as braggadocious or boastful. But to be honest, I got some really cool stuff given to me, and I think for the most part, everybody in the VC is really cool about just being excited for and with each other. And so I just kind of changed my mind and decided to do an update video of kind of Christmas slash birthday gifts. A couple of these I bought for myself in December, but if you guys have been watching my channel over the last few months, or if we talk on Facebook or whatever, you probably know that I've really slowed down on my purchases towards the end of 2017. And I'm probably going to keep that trend going here in the first part of 2018 as well. So that being said, I'm even more grateful for the new records that I got over the holiday season because I think it'll kind of tide me over for a little while as far as new purchases go. Anyway, without wasting any more time, we'll dive right in. Like I said, kind of a big pile, and I'm kind of in the middle of rearranging where my records are right now, so I'm going to have to turn a little bit to get to the pile of records, so forgive me for being the fat guy, filling the frame up and kind of turning my back to the camera every once in a while. Anyway, start out here. This is Frank Zappa, You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore, Volume 2, the Helsinki concert. This is a 3-record set. This is the 3-record set of live shows. This has been in the rarities bin in my favorite store here for quite a long time. If you watch my big Zappa haul video from a few months back, this is from the same collection. It's just been kind of sitting there. I've been waiting to buy it. It was kind of pricey, but I've never seen this one in the wild, and it's in one of these kind of boxes. And everything on here is just really, really minty, so I felt like the price was fair. Mastered by Bernie Grundman. I believe it came out in '88. So as far as my knowledge goes, I have a You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore sampler, but I believe this is the only You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore full concert that was pressed on vinyl. Again, that's to my knowledge. I could be wrong, but just from looking at Discogs, I think that's true. I know there are, I believe, 6 of them. I have 2 or 3 more of them on CD, but super excited to get this just because of the track listing and, of course, the condition. Next up is another box set. This is Bright Eyes, the complete, the studio albums 2000 to 2011. I was really stoked on this box. I'm a big fan of Bright Eyes. I don't see him being mentioned a lot in the VC. In fact, when I got this, I think the only person that I actively communicate with on the VC that knew who I was talking about was Brian over at Shamrock and Records. He really likes Bright Eyes as well. I put the box down just because it's so heavy, but I'm going to show you guys a record or two. So what's really cool about this set, um, this one is Fevers and Mirrors. Here's Lifted. I just wanted to show you guys one record in this set. It's really cool. This one, of course, is I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning. What's really cool about this set is they really went above and beyond as far as the packaging goes. Of course, the box is linen, it's foil stamped. Everything record-wise was pressed at RTI. The jackets are tip-on jackets, they're super thick. And all the records were remastered by Bob Ludwig. And then everything kind of comes in clear plastic inner sleeves. All the records are really kind of, they're 180 gram. They're colored vinyl, which I'm not a huge colored vinyl guy, but it is really cool that these are colored and they kind of match the color scheme of the album jacket, or kind of reference what the album's about or whatever. So if you don't know who Bright Eyes is a kind of indie folk / maybe neo country singer-songwriter out of Omaha. His name's Connor Oberst. Bright Eyes is kind of a name for his first project. I wouldn't call it a band, even though the band members are mostly the same from album to album, but it's really just Connor Oberst with a backing band, and the whole thing is called Bright Eyes. I've liked his music since high school. That box set came out last year. I've had my eye on it for a while, just haven't pulled the trigger, so really grateful to add that to the collection. The albums sound great. Like I said, Bob Ludwig remastered them. So I had a few of his albums before I sold my collection. It's really nice to have really nice, clean pressings again. Next up is Black Sabbath's self-titled. This is the In Disney Deluxe 2 LP reissue, of course, pressed at QRP. This represents the completion of my Black Sabbath The In Disney collection. I think they did 5 reissues. I could be misquoting that, but I know for sure they only did 3 of the deluxe 2 LP versions. They did this self-titled, they did Paranoid, and they did Master of Reality. So now I have all 3, self-titled, Paranoid, and Master of Reality on the 2 LP set. And if you watched Billy Hurst's last video about his Swirly Christmas, I tend to agree with Billy. Of the pressings that I've heard, and Billy was really awesome earlier this year and sent me a second Dutch pressing on the NIMS label of this album. In case you can't tell, this one's still sealed. I haven't spun this one and done an A/B test yet. But as far as Paranoid and Masters go, I've never heard a better pressing. Just really well done. I believe they were half-speed mastered at Abbey Road, if I remember correctly, and then pressed over here at QRP. They're, of course, put out by Warner Brothers and Rhino. If you're a Black Sabbath fan and you find these sitting around your local record store, this one was new. I found the other 2 in the used bin, but they were still sealed earlier this year. I highly recommend picking these up. Next up is the Analog Productions 200 gram reissue of Pet Sounds by Beach Boys. The Beach Boys, this is the mono version. This was recommended to me by the one and only Jeff Party. I actually listened to this for the first time yesterday, and the only adjective that comes to my mind for this one is just rich. Everything just kind of sounds thick. The bottom end is really full. Everything sounds really well balanced. It's just a really great sounding pressing. redone, remastered by Kevin Gray. Of course, Analog Productions goes above and beyond as far as their packaging goes as well. So super stoked to have this one added to the collection as well. From the first track, Wouldn't It Be Nice, all the way to Caroline No. This is, of course, I mean, everyone knows this album backwards and forwards, but just hearing it pressed with this much care taken was just like listening to it new all over again. It was really great. Then we've got the Analog Productions 200 gram reissue of Greg Allman's Laid Back. Just a really solid classic southern rock album with some country influence. If you haven't heard this one, I highly recommend it. Super great album. Of course, Midnight Rider's on here, which is probably the most well-known song off this album. But probably my favorite song off this album is a cover of These Days. So it's, of course, a Nico song. But Greg just made it his own and kind of added some steel guitar, and he just sings it with a lot of emotion and conviction. I sent this one to Billy Hurst as well for some VCLT, and we've been talking back and forth about how awesome this reissue sounds. It's quiet when it needs to be quiet. The dynamics range as far as, it being quiet and getting up to full volume. You can tell there's just a lot of dynamic range in the record. The bass is really syrupy and rich. It just sounds good. It just sounds really, really good altogether. So super pumped to have that. Super pumped being a shout out to Mr. Billy Hurst. It's one of his catchphrases. Next up is Jimi Hendrix Experience, Smash Hits. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that there still in the shrink and in a bag, but this is the Hendrix Family Authorized Edition. This is remastered from the original 2-track tapes by Bernie Grundman and then pressed in Salina at Quality Record Pressings. I spun this the other day, and man, I don't remember if I've heard these songs sound this good. I've got Axis Bold as Love and Electric Ladyland, first German pressings on the Polydor label, and this little greatest hits compilation puts those German pressings to shame. We got the Mobile Fidelity Sound Labs original master recording of Weezer's Blue album. This is number 607. I love the way the new Mo-Fi sound. I only own a couple of the original incarnation of Mobile Fidelity Sound Labs pressings, but I'm getting more and more of the newer ones. And I was really excited to pick this up. It's on limited edition blue and white swirled vinyl. This is really my favorite Weezer album. In fact, every other Weezer album that I've maybe only heard up through Pinkerton or maybe right around there. But to be honest, this is the only Weezer album that I love. So super excited to have this on the Mo-Fi press, and sounds great. It's a great album back to front. Of course, it being Mobile Fidelity, the packaging's really, really nice as well. Probably, if I had to choose, maybe Surf Wax America's my favorite song if I was hard pressed, but really, can't go wrong all the way through, but side A is just perfection. Pop punk perfection. Next, I received Fleetwood Mac. Of course, this is the self-titled, otherwise known as the White Album. And it is an original master recording, Mo-Fi pressing as well. This one, I believe, is from 75. Maybe that's the copyright on the original album. Nope. Yeah, so original album, if I'm correct, based on the information on the back, the original album came out in 73, and this was redone by MoFi in 75. Um, I was really pumped to find this. I used some birthday money and purchased it from the Vinyl Vault at Acoustic Sounds. And man, the way that Rhiannon especially sounded when I was listening to Side A just kind of blew me away. These original 70s incarnation of Mobile Fidelity's pressings are just really robust sounding. The dynamics are in there, everything's balanced. Um, I don't have any other pressing of this album to compare it to, but with as good as this sounds, I don't imagine myself picking up any other pressings. It's just superb. Next up is the self-titled Cars album. This is another MoFi pressing, original master recording. This one's number 6,987. Yep, 6987. So I received the self-titled, and of course Heartbeat City. Heartbeat City is 1977. And both of these complete my Cars MoFi pressings collection. These came out all in 2016, I believe. And if you're a fan of the Cars, I highly recommend picking them up. I started by finding Shake It Up and Candio used at my favorite record store here. And the funny thing about it is I really had to work hard to decide if I was going to pick up Candio, especially because I, within the 2 weeks before that, had found an original German pressing and American promo pressing. And so it would be it was ended up being my third copy of Candio in 3 weeks. But I was lucky enough that they let me use one of their equipment rooms at the record store and put the pressing on, and it sounded better than the other two to my ears. So because of how great Candio sounded, I ended up wanting to get I believe they did 4 of the Cars albums. You've got the self-titled Shake It Up, Heartbeat City, and Candio. They just sounds so good. Everything's really clear. Soundstage is awesome. Of course, not to beat a dead horse, but the dynamic range is great. Just really good, full sounding pressings. Next up is the new 50th anniversary edition stereo remix / remaster of Sgt. Pepper's by Giles Martin. This just came out on December 15th. It was also pressed at Quality Record Pressings in Salina. As you can see, I kind of have a big pile to work through, so I haven't listened to this one yet, but I love the stuff that's pressed at QRP. And I'm really excited to get a chance, hopefully today or tomorrow, to put this one on the table and hear the new stereo mix. I've heard a lot of good things from you guys in the VC about it, and I'm excited to hear it for myself. Next up is a Japanese first press of Journey's Departure. I got this for Christmas from my father-in-law. It was a really meaningful gift. He was stationed in Japan for some of his Navy career and has quite a few Japanese albums in his collection, and they are all very well taken care of and maybe taped twice at the most, according to my father-in-law. And I opened a garment box over at his house over Christmas, and this was sneakily put in a bigger box. I had no idea it was going to be a record, and I was just really humbled that he would pass one of his records on to me. Put it on the turntable as soon as we got home, and of course, just sounds really awesome. The high end is maybe a little more forward than the low end on this particular pressing, but it still sounds really great. Definitely my favorite song on this record is everybody's favorite probably, which is Any Way You Want It. Next is a first Japanese pressing of Jazz by Queen. This was out of the vinyl vault at Acoustic Sounds as well. This is a really minty copy. Posters in there. All the inserts are minty. Super stoked to have this one. Then we've got a first Japanese pressing of Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. I think this is upside down, so I'll turn it around real quick to show you guys. But this was actually this is from the vinyl vault at Acoustic Sounds too, but the guy kept his price tag in there, and I believe, yeah, it's for 4 LPs on in September of '88. He paid $77. So this must have came from this is called Wilson Audio in New Orleans. It must have been a pretty nice high-end record store doing imports. It was pretty cool to have that little invoice slip in there. I sent a picture of this to Billy when I got it, and I don't know if you guys can tell on video, but man, looks like it's brand new. Corners are razor sharp, vinyl's perfect. It sounds awesome. These last two I've had since about the middle of December. I was super pumped on both of them. So this is, of course, The Family. This is a Prince-related project on Paisley Park. All the songs on this album, to my knowledge, are written by Prince. Sorry, I was looking for what moniker Prince used to produce the album, and it's not on the back. But everyone knows Nothing Compares to You, which was made famous by Sinead O'Connor. This is the first recording of it. Was The Family, and then Prince later redid it. I think after he allowed Sinead to cover it, but my personal favorite on this album is Screams of Passion. Then last but not least, we got this UK import 12-inch of Prince's Controversy, backed with When You Were Mine. The vinyl in here is really nice. The jacket is probably a little rougher than I would normally really want to pick up for the collection. But this came out in '81, and it being a UK import and a 12-inch single, the jacket on here is just really, really thin. So that being considered, it's really not that rough, and the wax is really, really nice. Sounds awesome. I don't have a 12-inch maxi for Controversy that's American yet. It's kind of been eluding me. So when I saw this in the record store, I was really excited. I believe this is my first UK import in my Prince collection. So I was pleasantly surprised to add this to the collection as well. Anyway, guys, that's my December additions. Like I said, a lot of that was Christmas and birthday gifts or Christmas and birthday money put towards records. But yeah, I'm just really excited to have a lot of really nice new records around the house to spin. It's been a fun couple of weeks kind of familiarizing myself with each of those pressings and re-listening to some of my favorite albums. Anyway, guys, hope you had a great holiday season and a fantastic start to your new year, and we'll see you soon.